I got the chance to interview the English voice actor for Julian Loki. I got the chance to ask him all kinds of questions relating to voice acting, BLUELOCK, and Ravin even got to challenge him in a game show. So here is everything that went down in my interview with Julian Loki's voice actor. Today, we have a very special guest. We have the English dub voice actor for Julian Loki. Now this is a huge event for me as well as the community, so I'm gonna let our special guest introduce himself, and that way you can get to know him and his role as a voice actor. So I'm gonna let him take it away.
Yeah. All right, I am Kevin D. Thelwell, a voice actor who's done, I've done commercials, video games, anime, audiobooks, all the like. Again, I've voiced for things like I play Zeus in One Piece in the most recent arcs. I've been the leads for different anime like Girlfriend, Beast Tamer, The Ice Blade Sorcerer Shall Rule the World, Am I Actually the Strongest? And recently airing is Make-in Too Many Losing Heroines. I work in a lot of various different shows. Like we're here for, I play Julian Loki in BLUELOCK. I play Kita in Haikyuu. And I voice in all kinds of different sports anime myself. And I also help with some assistant directing with anime. I've worked on a whole bunch of different types of shows, including stuff like the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You, and all sorts of things like Gundam, The Witch of Mercury, and the list goes on and on and on.
So we're going to start with some questions. That's cool with you. We already done a short call prior to this stream to kind of decide which topics are okay to discuss, which ones aren't, given contracts and stuff like that. So there are going to be things that we aren't necessarily allowed to talk about, or he isn't necessarily allowed to mention, just given contracts and, respect to the anime and adaptations and the studios and such like that. So we have some questions submitted by the community as well as personal ones from me and Ravin. And Ravin, you want to start with the first question?
All right. Okay. So we'll start off with a fan question, just to set the mood in. What was your first impression of the first episode of the anime? What did you like and what did you dislike?
Man, let's see here. So I obviously didn't read the manga before the first episode of the anime in general. I just remember seeing all the promotions, and I'm like, new soccer anime? I would really like to work on that. And I saw just the art and how kind of edgy it kind of looked, and I was really into it. I also have a massive bias for anything with the color blue or the name blue in it, so I'm already hooked in from the start. Trailers look really nice, so when I sat down and watched that first episode, I'm trying to think. I can't really say there was anything I particularly disliked about the first episode. I just know I really like that kind of subversion of the teamwork trope, where in sports anime we're like, friendship and teamwork will always help us win the day and all that, and at the BLUELOCK's just like, no, forget your teammates, forget your friends, kill them, do better than them, crush them, Especially that ending with the whole Bachira kind of corrupting Isagi into taking out Kira. That ending legit just gave me goosebumps, and I was so hyped. Second I watched that, I'm like, everyone needs to watch this show. I love this show. One of my favorite sports animes from just episode 1, and I'm like, I want to be in that show immediately. So then I just started getting to work to see what I could do to do anything in my power to make sure I had an opportunity to be considered for that show or work on it in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, lovely answer. Thank you very much.
You mentioned what drew you to BLUELOCK, but did you audition? Were you recommended for the role? Was this did you audition for a different character and just happened to get this role of Loki? What was your approach to the series?
BLUELOCK was one of the the thing with anime nowadays, at least dubs, is that a lot of shows just need to go out really fast, so that way the dubs don't take too long to come out versus the subtitles. The average fastest we get is about 2 weeks after the Japanese, meaning the second the episode comes out in Japan, we're usually already starting to record it in English a few days after that, business days wise. So they're speeding up. So BLUELOCK was something that I didn't have the opportunity to audition for on the first set of characters directly, at least. like directors have their own considerations and people that they're aware of, or just might like look through the roster of the studio to see who they might think. So I unfortunately didn't get a chance to audition for the first set of characters, but when the first episode came out, I'm like, I really want to touch this in some way, shape, or form. So I reached out to the director at the time, and I was just literally like, hey, I just saw the first episode of this show. I absolutely adore this. I am aware that, you know, you may be working on this, may or may not be working the show right now. It's not out yet. I don't know or cast characters yet for this show, but if, you know, you haven't already casted, I would love to be considered for a character, you know, of this show, or maybe later down the line of this show. And even if like you've already decided, hey, I already got every character in the show already cast, I would love to just touch the show in some way, shape, or form. So if you need help like directing or anything like that, I'd be down to do that too. And the director replies like, hey, you know, I'll keep you in mind for anything that may come up in the future, but I could also use some directing help. So yeah, I would appreciate that. And I'm like, bet, let's do that. So I helped out with a little directing sprinkled out here through the seasons. And then later on, I got the opportunity to audition for Loki toward the end of the series, and I was really hyped for that.
Loki is a character who I didn't know about when I first started watching, so I was anime only myself. So when I first saw Loki, I'm like, interesting, I wonder what he's gonna do. And then the moment we saw him speed blitz everyone was such just like, this is awesome, because I'm a huge fan of speedster characters. Anyone with speed in fiction is just going to be automatically my favorite in some regard. That's why Chigiri is one of my personal favorite characters. And seeing Loki just speed blitz all these characters, especially Ravin, who's like, yeah, you're good, but I'm just better, and just absolutely cooks him, was just a surreal experience to see, especially on like that last episode. Such a great moment to see.
It's super fun. And yeah, I'm also a sucker for speedsters as well, so that was really nice, especially how he just like blows Chigiri out of the water when it comes to just speed. He's like Chigiri and Zantetsu combined times 10. It's crazy.
Just a reminder, I guess, you are up to the Ubers in terms of the manga, right?
Yeah, I'm in volume 25 of the manga.
So we're not doing any questions past the Ubers, basically. No questions involving past the Ubers, just for like, you know, avoiding any spoilers, stuff like that. Especially things in which you are not as comfortable with talking about because they're not officially released.
Have you seen the episode Nagi manga?
I have not seen the episode Nagi manga, but I have seen the movie twice. I saw it once when I was visiting Japan. I went in theaters and saw it in Japan, and that was interesting to watch with no subtitles, not speaking the language, but I managed to pick up enough from the movie, just hearing repeating words over and over again through the movie to understand what was going on with it. So that was very cool. I even got like some of the merch from the movie theater in Tokyo, and brought it back and gave it to the director, because I'm like, he's gonna like this. And then I also watched again, of course, in English in the States as well. So we're familiar with that.
For the next question, this is one of my questions. What voice acting role would you like for a series that currently does not have a voice actor for a character?
What voice acting role for a series that doesn't have voice acting? Interesting. Okay, man, there are a lot of shows that deserve dubs but don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. I would totally love to be in like of recent shows I can think off the top of my head. Skip and Loafer is a really nice, wholesome anime. Really good slice of life. I would totally love to be the main dude in Skip and Loafer, because that would be great. The Monogatari series is super duper fun and like an intellectual show. It's like one of my favorite animes. So that would also be up there too.
I don't know either of them.
The Monogatari series is like huge, though, isn't it? There's like
I've heard of it, but I've never watched either of them.
There's like 8 or so different shows, all within the same concept. Like, what's?
I want to say they're pushing like 150, maybe 200 episodes at this point. Because I remember when I started watching it back in the day, it was like around 100 episodes. Because it's been going on since like 2008. So they're pushing like 15 years.
Another one of my questions I wanted to ask. In the manga of the series, Loki had a lot of extra lines that were actually cut due to production and time. Do you think these moments should have remained in the anime, or do you think that them being cut is still a fine decision?
I think it worked out at the end of the day. I do wish some of his other lines were kept in, just because it gives him a little more character. Because in the anime, he's just like, he's more cryptic, I feel, in the anime versus him showing a little bit more personality in the manga. Again, it's only a few lines, so it's not the biggest deal, but I do wish those lines were in there.
So, what drew you to voice acting? Was it a show? Was it a person? What was your reason for going into this profession?
That's an interesting one. So, what even got me into acting was a little bit of a fluke, because I had always done jobs that required my voice, as like call centers and stuff like that. And people always said, "Oh, you have a nice voice, you should do acting," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't want to do acting. I hate being perceived by people too much, and I wouldn't want to be on stage or memorize lines. That just seems very uncomfortable for me. So I never thought about it. And then later, I ended up doing little fun hobby parody videos online with friends, playing video games and doing all sorts of things and the like. And a YouTuber that I followed a lot had a book that they were trying to get animated, and they thought, hey, it'll be fun is have a little competition in my fan base and have people audition for the roles in this book that we're animating. And I'm like, hey, I like this guy's stuff, and I have a little cheapy blue snowball mic. I would love to give that a shot, because I've done my own acting and parody videos before, just for fun. And I had read the person's book and really enjoyed the story, so I'm like, hey, I'll do something to support my favorite creators and whatnot. So I auditioned for it and ended up getting a contract on that audition, which blew me away. And the animation didn't end up coming out because of production issues, but me landing that contract and then seeing that the other people that was actually cast in the project hired directly were actors who lived in California, who were professional in anime and whatnot. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. The fact that I got a contract, in the same project as some of these people, hey, maybe I can do this stuff. So eventually later in college, I was a music teacher, and I decided I wasn't really feeling the college music industry and whatnot. It just didn't feel fun. So I decided to start taking some theater classes. I took acting workshops. I decided to really look into acting, because I'm like, hey, voice acting would be fun. I like to voice in video games or cartoons or anime. And I looked into it, and I thought, hey, at the time, there was not even 5 actors who worked in the anime sphere in Texas that were black people of color like me. So I'm like, it'd be cool to break into that, especially with my voice type. I was in the higher part of it. I'm not a big, deep dude, so that would be different. And there weren't a lot of people who just worked in that industry. So I'm like, hey, that's something I would like to kind of set new ground in and jump into that myself, since there just weren't a lot of people like me in that part of the industry. So I decided looking into that. My best friend, who I'd known for a while in high school, up in through college at the time, and still to this day, actually, in fact, he's my roommate now. But my BFF, his cousin, was a voice actor, or is a voice actor too, and that's Alejandro Saab. He plays Sai in BLUELOCK as well. And we went to the same high school. He was one of my upperclassmen who graduated before I knew him. So I eventually I felt weird about starting voice acting, because I'm like, oh, I don't want my boy to think I'm copying his cousin and blah blah blah, because he's kind of famous already and whatnot. So I kind of hid that I was acting for a couple months from my friend. And I can't remember how the conversation went, but he was like, he was like, hey, what you up to right now? I'm like, oh, I'm doing the thing. What do you mean? And then he interrogated the crap out of me. And I eventually told him, oh, well, I'm trying to do voice acting. He's like, wait, you're doing voice acting now? Hold on, let me call my cousin right now, and he'll give you all the tips and all the pro tips and whatnot right now. We'll put you in a Skype. Wait, you don't do that. I'm doing it right now. Skype start. And he put me in a voice call with Alejandro, and Alejandro gave me a lot of tips about like, acting and moving to Texas and whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, look into this further. I'm going to try to move to Texas. And one thing led to another. I was working a bunch of like jobs and doing a bunch of indie work online in classes, trying to get a start on voice acting. Like I'm fortunate in the fact that I have situations that just are unique to me, where like where there would be like classes that would come up in Texas. Well, I lived in Miami, Florida at the time, so very far away from where I am now. So when there were classes that came up, sometimes they were online, sometimes they were like in person. So like in New York or Texas, or sometimes there would be like voice acting competitions run by like Sentai Filmworks in Texas, or run by like Bang Zoom in Chicago, who are both anime studios here in the States. And sometimes they do competitions, and I legit had times where I'll be like, there's a weekly anime ADR class, dubbing class, that will teach me like how to really do that. So I would sometimes get on a plane. My mom worked for, still works for an airline. So I would like, Mom, I need a ticket to a plane. Can you just type my name onto a plane roster so I can just hitch a ride onto a plane? So if there's an open seat on a plane that nobody bought, I would just jump on that, fly to Chicago. Like I had a friend who literally messaged me, hey, did you know that there's a voice acting competition right now and the winner gets to be in an anime? And I'm like, what? Where? Chicago? When? Tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow? Bet, I'll be there in the morning. He's like, what? Goodbye. Hang on. I need a ticket. She's like, where? Chicago. Tomorrow. Bet. Hang up the phone. Dad, I'm going to Chicago. I'll see you in a couple days. She's like, you're going where? Hang up. Friend, hey, call at work. Tell the boss something came up. I'll be back in a couple days. Goodbye. So I got on a plane, going to the competition. I did that competition 2 years in a row, and like got to the finals both times. Never actually won it, but at least I need the fact that I tried it both times in a row and got to the finals. Really like made me think I had a chance for stuff. And I did that. I even did like weekly classes where I would like fly to New York. I have family in New York, so I just stayed with relatives up in New York, and I took classes in there, subwaying into Manhattan and from New York City. I would fly into Texas weekly sometimes. It would be like 6-week or 4-week classes where I would work a morning shift at my job, finish that early afternoon, go directly to the airport, fly over to Texas, take a night class, stay at a motel for a night, and then fly back to Florida the next day, and then just work a night shift, and then each week repeat that over and over again. People in the class would be like, oh, I drove an hour away. I'm in this part of Texas. Oh, I'm in Houston. I drove 4 hours away. And be like, oh, I flew in from Miami this morning to like, come. What are you doing here? What? I'm like, don't worry. It doesn't cost us money. I got it for free. It's not a big deal. I really want to do this stuff. So it's crazy because those classes that I took, a lot of people who I took these classes with are actually people that have later in years hired me for jobs. People who I've worked with in studios now are people that I've directed in booth. And it's crazy how like, all the years change and how everyone has kind of grown. So yeah, I definitely took my own interesting approach. Like even how I'm in Texas right now is crazy because I did the thing that you're never supposed to do online. Disclaimer for any kids listening, don't do what I'm about to say, but I was in like Discord servers online with people. Like this Twitch streamer that I really enjoyed his content. So I was always in his Discord server hanging out, and I'll be like saying like, hey, I'm working 2-3 jobs trying to move to Texas, saving up money. I really want to, be an actor and move to Texas, blah, 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 be an anime. And one of the dudes in those servers that I was talking to a lot and be like, hey, trying to move to Texas? Here, I'll do you a solid. I'll recommend you at my job in Texas, and if you apply to them and get hired, I'll let you sleep on my couch for 3 months, so that way you can save up money to get your own apartment, and that way you can be in Texas, so you can do your thing. And I'm like, bet, I'll do that. So then I hitched on a ride, flew over to Texas, interviewed for that job, got the job, and then like a few days, I'm like, I gotta move to Texas right now. So I got into a car, me and my dad and our cousin went and said, yeah, I gotta make sure you're not gonna get axe murdered moving with this random dude off the internet, so I'm gonna drive with you to Texas with all your stuff to make sure you're not moving with a crazy person.
Yeah.
So then I drove 21 hours over to Texas, met up with the guy who I met again on Discord, which is crazy. Ended up living with him for like 3 months on his couch. Like I had an air mattress in his living room. And then 3 months passed working at the job. I'm like, hey, while I was there, I was like paying half his rent because I'm like, I don't want to freeload on people and whatnot. So here, I'll pay half your rent while I'm here. And 3 months passed, saved up enough money to get my own place. And I'm like, hey, I already talked to the apartment leasing company, and I'll probably just get another room in a different apartment. So, I'll be out of your hair in a few days now. He's like, whoa. I kind of like you, paying half my rent. Why don't we just upgrade to 2-bedroom? And I'm like, you know what? Let's do that. And then we ended up living together for like another year-ish after that.
Yo, we're like cool. You're cool. I don't want you to leave. I don't want to have to pay more rent.
You're like my best friend now. You're like
yeah.
He Toto'd you. He Itadori and Toto. You're like, we're brothers now. Like, come on.
We're here. Yeah.
We built a bond. You can't just leave.
It's crazy. And then another voice acting class I took, they had an alumni karaoke night, and I ended up meeting another dude at one of those, and we just started talking and bonding over how much we hate random social media stuff. And then during the conversation, I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to move deeper into Texas, the higher areas, so I can get closer to the Funimation building. And he's like, wow, what a coinky-dink. I actually have a relative who just bought a house for me in that area, and I'm looking for roommates. Got a 4-bedroom house. You wanna move in with me? And I'm like, you know what? Bet. And I went to my other roommate. I'm like, hey, lease is running out. I'm gonna move into this house. You can come if you'd like. Up to you. He's like, you know what? Bet I'll move in here. So then we moved into upgraded from apartment to a whole house, and it's just I've been very fortunate and lucky to take risks where I have and have it work out for me. So yeah, that's where I am. And yeah, I've met a lot of kind people, a lot of workshops trying to get better and people just be worthy for any parts that I might be able to read for. Because just being in the area is hard enough for people who aren't already born here. And a lot of these stories about people who started this anime industry and with dubbing are people who just happen to be I just happen to be I'm a some guy walked in and be like, hey you, I like your voice, come and be in Dragon Ball Z. And I'm like, some people just have random things that just happen to them, and I'm like, no, I saw this and I wanted this and I had to figure out how to make it work. And it wasn't easy getting in there, and took a billion classes trying to figure out how people get and send emails to studios, what do I do, trying to get agencies and whatnot. And just it's kind of like a lottery system where you get lucky or not to get into this kind of industry at points. And I was even taking a workshop with people and oh yeah, your voice is super great for anime, you can do this and do that and blah blah blah, but just nothing ever happened. And one day I took a class, and it was super funny because it was a workshop that I was taking that I just happened to just be doing a lot that week with work and stuff. So I was in the middle of building a TV stand and in my apartment, and then I get a call from a guy who was running a studio that was doing workshop. And he's like, hey, are you still coming? And I'm like, coming where? It's well, the workshop, we started 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, workshop, I forgot I bought that. Oh no. And I threw all my stuff down, got on my car, and sped out the highway to make it to my workshop. And then we were supposed to have a monologue for that workshop too, and I just didn't have the time to prepare it. So instead of memorizing a monologue, I just went on Google, looked up a monologue really quick, skimmed it. I'm like, all right, this is the gist of what this monologue is. So instead of memorizing it, I just got the general idea of the monologue, and I just made up half the monologue on the spot for the class. Did it. People really liked it. And I did everything else in the class. And at the end of the class, the teacher's like, yeah, you did really well. And I stayed behind class after everyone left with a friend and went to teacher. And I'm like, hey, you work, at Funimation, you're a director, you're, helping class. He said a lot of nice things about myself today, but I've heard this stuff all the time. How do I get my name on the table over there in front of the director so they can at least consider me for stuff if I'm apparently, somebody who is ready for this? And he looked at me, he's laughed, and he's like, don't worry about that. I'll look forward to working with you. And I'm like, people say that all the time. Okay, he's just giving me lip service, whatever. So I left, did my stuff. A couple days later, I got an email, and they're like, hey, can you come in and do some extras on the Ace Attorney anime? And I'm just like, what the heck? He wasn't kidding. It actually happened. And that was 2018. So that was about 6 months after I had actually moved to Texas that I like ended up getting my first anime gig.
That seems quick. Like that seems quick, but also like 6 months is still a lot of time. But for how you described getting into the industry, I feel like 6 months seems pretty quick, especially when that was only 3 months after you were living on the dude's couch. You're like, let's just upgrade.
Yeah. And that was actually that. Let me think. The 6 months. Yeah. That was after the 3 months there because we'd already upgraded to 2-bedroom apartment at that point, and that was like 2 years. That was like 2.5 years ish after I started voice acting, because I started acting and then was doing that for a year or so, and then I ended up moving to Texas, and then 6 months after moving to Texas, that's when I got into anime. Which that was really fast for the time, because some people move to Texas and don't actually get into the anime industry for like a couple years after moving to Texas. So, but I think the timeline's getting more accessible to people as years go along to get into anime, but I definitely was at the time super fast.
Well, you know what they say, you always miss the shots you don't take. So you taking those shots have led to the situation that you're currently in, and would you say that you're happy? Would you say that you're composed?
Oh yeah, I am super duper happy. Like even down the line, I was doing a little bit of work here with like Funimation here and there as the months go by, like working day jobs while that to support myself, because starting out anime is not paying a lot. Anime doesn't pay a lot in general, but especially when you're starting out, it's at best it's paying for McDonald's for a couple days or something like that when you started back in the day. But when COVID happened and the pandemic hit, things kind of changed too, because they shut down all of the studios and just stopped recording. So we're like, okay, we're not getting any work, because I was doing an average of maybe 1 gig a month over at the Funimation building, and the pandemic hit and everything just stopped. And when that happened, we saw like a few weeks, I think a month or two or a few weeks passed into the pandemic, and we saw that My Hero got recorded remotely with iPads and special microphones and whatnot. They made a little video on social media that was posting about, hey, we did My Hero and recorded all the actors from home, so My Hero's back, guys. And my roommate, a few months prior, before everything getting shut down, he actually built a recording booth in his room made out of wood. And it just so happened to be a booth that was big enough to fit 4 people. And at the time, everyone in my house who lived here was an actor for Funimation already. So we ended up sending Funimation a message saying like, hey, we see you're recording, anime from home now to, help with COVID. Just to let you know, like if you guys need any extras or any like group work, which is, wallow work for the backgrounds and soldiers and, kids in the classrooms and all that jazz, we're like, we can do that because we have it at home recording booth. And we got a response from them within like, I want to say like minutes to like an hour, where they're like, you can see all the higher ups at like Sony and Funimation. They're like, these guys can record a group from home when blah blah. We don't have to risk getting people COVID to record group stuff, because they had to record people like individually for remote stuff at that time, which took way longer. So they had 4 actors that all lived together who didn't have a risk of getting each other sick because they were all together anyway. It saved them so much time and made things easier to get one more natural sound from like people talking to each other and background stuff. So when that happened, we ended up doing like the background work on almost every anime for, I want to say like 2 years ish straight. So we were working a lot, and not just with Funimation, but with all sorts of studios. So like, if you look at any dub that came out within like, I want to say late 2020 to like early 2022, if not even later in 2022, you can almost guarantee that almost every show that came out had my voice and my roommate's voices in it at some point. Some shows, every episode, we were in the background or an extra for every show on there. So it was pretty crazy. It was definitely like a hyper training arc those 2 years, because I just got a bunch of work in such a short period of time, which is way more than I was used to. So yeah, it helped me grow as an actor a lot.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that answer. We're deep diving into the detail of your lore.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to actually kick off the Blue Lock questions, because we got to most of the actual personal real life voice acting questions done. So this question is actually been one of controversial opinions, because me and Arrow believe one side and the community mostly believe another side. Do you believe Loki is worthy of holding the new Gen 11 title?
I would say so. Loki plays with like Noah and just all the other top master strikers, and he's on the professional team already. Like, I would say that Loki would be like, I've seen people talk about it online. I feel like the general speculation is that Loki is probably going to be one of the final hurdles that Isagi would need to, jump over to become the world's best striker. So I 100% believe that. Plus, that Loki is younger than Isagi as well. So yeah, I 100% believe that he would be on that tier list as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
See,
We-
we have
we
made
belie-
several videos on and comments talking about this, and I'll read you the exact like description of what the new Gen 11 title is, and you tell me yes or no. Does this sound like Loki? The new generation World 11 is a group of international youth players heralded as the next generation of football superstars. Selected and recognized by FIFA, the new Gen 11 are selected by their individual abilities and potential. They all have outstanding standout abilities that separate them from their similarly aged peers. They usually have a skill that is not easily replicable, such as Psy's perfect kicking technique or Kaiser's lightning fast and accurate shot. Does that sound like Loki?
Yeah, that's not Loki because Loki can go toe to toe with Noah. So yeah.
You hear that, fans? You hear that? Even the voice
That's
actor
my
agrees.
opinion.
You hear that? Even the voice actor agrees. What you gonna say now? I needed that. I needed
We-
that for
we-
like.
we have had arguments with these with our fans, like with audiences, just because they don't believe the new Gen 11 title is applicable because of certain requirements in which haven't been ever confirmed. And since the actual requirements that have been listed is that you have to be under 20, you have to have a unique skill, and of course reach a certain level of skill and talent. Those are the requirements. We said that Loki fits those requirements. And of course, there's been proof and backing that he is a rising star, much like the rest of the new Gen 11 players. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I'd say it's accurate. Like, if Psy is on there, I feel like Loki 100% on there because Loki is already really big on that tier list. He might not be as famous as Psy in the lore, I'm not sure, but he's already on a team who plays professionally, which I believe is. I don't think Psy actually plays professionally.
He was going to,
Yeah,
but
he's going
it's
to. So
it's the age requirement that kept him. His intent was to go pro. However, he was unable to due to the age requirement in Spain. However, now he is of the legal age to go pro.
yeah, and then Loki's younger than him and already pro. So to say that like he is above Loki on that doesn't make a lot of sense because they achieved basically all the same things.
So you agree that Loki is worthy of that title?
Yes, in my opinion, he is 100% worthy of that title.
Yeah. The grand difference is the fact that we say he's worthy of the title, we never say he has the title because that's not confirmed yet.
Yeah.
But people like to interpret that we're saying that he has the title or already has the title, and people are like, no, he doesn't. We're saying that he's worthy of it. It's a very big difference.
Thank you for that, because we've been arguing that for so long, and it feels good to finally have another person who agrees and understands the points we're making.
When Loki's episode came out in the Japanese version, I was hanging out. I was playing some card games with the actors who played Nagi and Rin, and we were also playing who was it? With Pablo's actor as well, because he was one of my roommates as well at the time. And when that episode came out, they're like, "Hey, Kevin, like I just saw the new character Loki. I think he'd be perfect for you. He already has like your haircut, and he has it because I had like a shorter hair at the time, and I basically had Loki's haircut before I even knew Loki existed. So they're like, he looks exactly like you. He has all that stuff, and it was really fun. I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I can do that guy, and I don't know, maybe they want accents and stuff like that. And like quite literally like a day or two after that, I got a text from the director. It's like, hey, how good is your French accent work? And I'm just like, oh no, you want me to read for Loki, don't you? Oh God. And then, like the director himself said, yeah, I thought it would be really cool to cast this Loki because I know you really like this. I know this is like possibly a bigger character down the road. And also too, like I saw him and I immediately just thought he looks like Kevin. Holy shit. Let me audition Kevin for this.
So another question in which people ask, just in relation to real life, so a casual question, do you play football at all?
I'm not super big into sports, but when season 1 of Blue Lock ended, Crunchyroll had a big Blue Lock event where they rented out a soccer bar and invited everyone in the cast to show up, and we ended up playing some games, and that was really fun to do that. So I enjoy soccer. It's cool. I am by no means really good at it per se, but I am most certainly faster than a lot of my cast members.
Oh, so he does have a bit of Loki in him.
It's canon. I mean, so the last question I have, with Loki being a master for the NEL, he is supposedly placed on the same pedestal as the other strikers like Noah and Chris Prince. Based off of skill, rank each NEL master.
Rank each NEL master. Okay. So, from what I have seen, which I've only seen one scene of Snuffy showing his skill in the manga yet, I would probably say, especially with Snuffy's story being more of a kind of tragic one, trying to find his successor, I would say I would put Loki. It's so hard because like Chris Prince has like just more experience and whatnot, and we haven't seen Loki go head to head with him on screen, which I wish we just saw more of the other teams versus just following Isagi exclusively the entire time. But all right, I would say that I would put they're so close. I would say Noah. Noah's probably the best, and I'd put Chris directly under, and then put Loki right after that. Just because I think all three of them are probably just neck and neck anyway when it comes with skill, and I'd just put those two above Loki slightly only because experience. And let me see here. So we have Snuffy as well, who I'd put under. I'm missing one Master Striker. Lavinia. Okay. Honestly, yeah, I'd put Lavinia just like... I'd say I'd just put Lavinia like right under Loki, and then Snuffy right there at the bottom. Only because I just haven't seen enough of Snuffy, and his story already is a defeatist one anyway.
So from that ranking, what you can base it off of is like overall ability and then striker ability. Noah is of course number one, classified as the best striker, and Chris Prince is number two, being voted as the second best striker just behind Noah. But when it comes to overall skill, Mark Snuffy is actually number one.
Okay.
And Mark Snuffy arguably has the most experience of the masters.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I hadn't gotten all that part. That's interesting. Okay.
So
Cool.
be prepared for that in the manga.
Oh, I have volume 24 and 25 now, so I'm gonna be knocking those out over the next week or two. Like, I'm gonna need something to hold me over in between the Saturday releases, because we all love our soccer Saturdays here. So I'm gonna be reading the manga in between Blue Lock episodes now, keeping the hype train going.
And then my final question to you: what are your top 5 favorite characters in Blue Lock aside from Loki?
Bachira, Nagi. Obviously Isagi.
Isagi?
Yeah, obviously Isagi too. Let me see here. Baro, and then Bachira, Isagi, Nagi, Baro, and honestly, Reo.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say Reo. There's I like his arc and his growth that he's had things before in the manga and just the anime as well. Like, my favorite Reo moment in the anime is the scene of him losing Nagi to Isagi in the losing the game against Isagi where they take Chigiri from Reo's team. And just that scene of Kunigami grabbing him, lifting up, and goes, look at them, as they're walking away, like how overly dramatic it was, and he's like crying, and it's just, that scene lives rent-free in my head so much. It's just something about it, just like him kind of looking in the face of defeat as like the people he's chasing walk away and he fails. It's just really good to me. I really enjoyed that.
So from that ranking, Bachira's number 1.
Bachi's 100% number 1. Yeah.
Yeah, then we have Nagi at number 2, Isagi 3, Burū 4, and Reo 5.
Yeah, Baro's arc is just also really fun. I like how him and Isagi were I hate you. No, I hate you. Okay, I'm gonna, mind games you into making you do what I want. It's so good. I really like it.
Fair enough. I do agree. That was a very awesome within the anime. Within the manga, of course, it's played down a bit because you're reading, but in the anime, you can feel the intensity.
It was so good. I ended up like the scene where Isagi fully basically conquers Baro into getting that goal versus the what was it?
The 3v3.
I think it was versus Rail's team actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually directed Ariko, Isagi's actor, on that scene to end that episode. So it was so fun getting to be in the helm doing that scene. I really enjoyed it.
Really? How often do you do directing in that regard?
I do directing pretty often whenever like the studio needs people. Like if a director calls out, I'd go in during the day. If they need extra directing work, like there's not enough time to get the work done during the day, they do it at night. So I've directed, my handful of sessions for BLUELOCK and other shows. I have a list of shows that I've helped direct on.
And those were all the questions for the interview. Before getting into the rest of the video, if you are enjoying it so far, please leave a like and subscribe down below. By doing so, that gives me the opportunity to do more events with other voice actors in the future. And while you're down there, click the link to join the Discord to become a part of our community. And you might even have a chance to join in one of these events yourself. Now, without further ado, let's get into the game show of Ravin versus Julian Loki. Okay, so this is BLUELOCK I Hate You Jeopardy. You may ask why it's called I Hate You. That's because the questions are designed to make you say that you hate me afterwards. Going into the game itself, we have 3 categories. We have trivia, we have quotes, and we have abilities. So I'll explain each category as we go, but you pick a category with a point designation, and each player will get a guess. Whoever is the closest to the correct answer will get the points associated with the question. Unless no one gets anywhere near close, then no one gets any kind of points. If someone does guess the correct answer, the other person will not have a chance to guess though. Because we have a voice actor here as our guest, I'm going to allow for him to pick the first category.
Okay, let's go abilities.
Abilities for 1, 2, or 3.
1.
For abilities, I'm going to poorly describe an ability in a specific player's arsenal. You have to tell me who this weapon belongs to. Some characters share the same weapon, multiple answers could be accepted. If you give me the exact character that I have listed, you earn double points. This weapon is used for clutching, for attacking, and for strutting.
Clutching, attacking, and strutting. That's an interesting wording there. Let's see here. Clutching, attacking, and strutting. Well, let's try for Bachida.
Bachida? Okay. What's the ability though? Because you're guessing for an ability.
Yeah, his dribbling.
Okay. Raven?
Clutching, attacking, and strutting. I can assume clutching would have been in tight moments of the game where it feels like it could be best beneficial in, of course, bad situations. Strutting probably because it looks good, and attacking because it is a good offensive weapon. I think a good clutch weapon that I think of is Nagi's trapping. I will go with Nagi's black hole or void trapping.
So neither of you actually got the correct answer. The answer is Audiu's long reach, aka his legs. He clutches up, he attacks with his long reach, and he's Audiu, so he struts his stuff.
I see. Okay. that was difficult. Okay.
Raven, you get to pick the next category.
All right, give me quotes for 3.
So the quotes. For this category, I'll be reading you a quote from the BLUELOCK series. However, it has been put through translators over 100 times each, as well as a fancy English translator. Your goal is to tell me who said the quote, and if you want double points, you can tell me who the quote was said to. So Raven, quote is, "I did not arrive with the intent to overshadow others in my pursuit of excellence. Rather, I seek to conquer those who surpass me in strength. For without such endeavors, nothing shall transform." Who said this quote?
God, the reference to not wanting to overshadow people is probably stumping me, because who would not to overshadow people? I believe I believe the closest person I can think of is probably like a pacifist, like Yukimiya, right? So I will guess Yukimiya saying so to Isagi.
Okay, let me see here. Do not seek to overshadow others. Excellent. That is interesting. Yeah, who would be saying that if not for that? Okay, somebody who's kind of humble, which in Blue Lock that's kind of rare as heck. That's sick. Honestly, the fact that you said it's been translated a billion times, let's just go with Kunigami.
Yeah. You can go for double points by saying who it was said to.
We'll say Kunigami to. I can't give you the answer on that one. That's tough.
Okay. So
actually, no. We'll say Kunigami to Raichi.
Okay, Kunigami Doraichi. So the answer was Isagi. It was at the beginning game of tag when he was monologuing to himself about not kicking out Ikiguri by taking the easy shot when he turns to then go after Bachira. But it is now back to Kevin. It is your turn.
All right, let me get trivia for 2.
Trivia for 2. Okay, so for trivia, I'm going to give you a statement about a character in the series, and you have to tell me who it coincides with. These statements and information will come from the official books like the Egoist Bible, the official manga, interviews, or any canon-confirmed sources. This character would take umbrellas and arrange them into a fort in the corner of his room and play there. This was when they were a child.
Umbrella forts. Ooh, is it Bachira?
Bachira, okay. Raven?
It's, I believe, oh God, because I may be wrong here. Is it Zantetsu?
Zantetsu? So, neither of you guys are actually correct. The answer is Nico.
Nico?
Oh.
I don't know any of his backstory. Yeah.
Nico used to.
For some reason, I thought it seems like a silly thing to do, and I thought Zantetsu would relate to that. That's actually a bit of trivia that I don't know.
I don't know, but that so far y'all are 0-3 right now.
Yeah, we're swinging and missing here. Oh my gosh, these are difficult questions.
To get a point on the board, I will select trivia 1.
Trivia for 1. Okay. This character played volleyball in his first year of high school.
Oh wait. Oh God, it's not like too easy to know. Because I had a few people in my, because I remember reading something about this, like someone used to play a completely different sport. I know Rayo used to play basketball. Was it? Oh God, this is actually terrible because my brain is going. It can't be Rayo, right? It can't be Rayo. He done basketball. We saw basketball. Saw basketball. No, I'm not asking you. I know you won't give anything away. Because in relation to like recent sports, and I believe the type of school that they went to, I believe Nagi was the answer, so I'll go with Nagi.
Well, someone got it right. It is Nagi. So the source of this comes from the light novel, where Nagi actually was a bit of an insane receiver.
Oh, he's like so who's defense? He's like, nah, my dude in Haikyuu wasn't a libero, but he was like defense like that too. We could always stop the ball from.
There was a official art done where Nagi and Rael are actually playing beach volleyball, which is another correlation to Nagi actually having a little bit more volleyball experience. But that means Raven actually got a point on the board. Yeah. It is Kevin's turn to pick a category. So you got quotes 1 and 2, trivia 3, and abilities 2.
All right, let's go quotes 1.
Quotes for 1, okay. Employing the very momentum to extricate me from your presence while striving toward the objective with commendable acumen, Mr. Abnormal. Moreover, with Mr. Inferior having chosen to rouse himself, you all have metamorphosized into an entirely distinct ensemble of your own. Ensemble of your own.
It's so unnecessarily posh.
Wow, yeah, okay, so posh. Okay, okay. Employing the momentum to extricate me. Mr. Abnormal, Mr. Inferior. Let's you've all metamorphosized into an extremely distinct ensemble of your own. Dang, I'm thinking it's either Bachira or Rin. But I'm leaning toward Rin. You're a distinct ensemble of your own. You won't attempt to extricate me from presence, Mr. Abnormal. Actually, man, that's so tough. It could be like all any 3 characters. Is this the Naruhaya fight? Is this the Rin fight? Let's go with Isagi, actually.
Isagi? Okay.
Yeah.
Raven?
I think because I'm either like Ego's a very obvious one when it comes to these like big built-up speeches, but I'm pretty sure like Mr. Abnormal is probably another way to describe someone who's kind of weird or just not regular. Who's been described as like not normal within the series. Rin has been described as not normal. Bachira being described as not normal as well. Isagi probably in a way has probably been described as not normal. I don't know what to go off of because judging by the answers we already had like an answer for Isagi, Nagi. I guess I will say Burū towards Isagi.
Okay,
Yep.
So neither of you are actually correct. The answer is Karasu. Karasu said this to Rin about Isagi after his goal in the 3rd selection.
I'm not used to
Okay, well.
any of his lines without sexual innuendo. Okay.
But
What was that stemming from?
Karasu's lines and the translation have there's always like borderline lewd remarks coming out of his mouth.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
What's going on here? Why is he
Oh,
talking
yeah.
like
Hiyori's left leg is like, oh, your left leg is so tight. How lewd.
that? Somebody scored a goal and he's like, man, that's kind of hot. I'm like, what?
You mistaken him
Everything
for
he said.
Shido? What?
yeah, when he said about the Shido, I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Everything he says is
Raven?
I'm going to pick abilities 2.
Abilities 2. Okay, abilities 2. Look.
So look room, right? So it's to basically say, hey, look at the ball, look at the ball, wee, or maybe look at the person, right? And this could be a Loki thing, right? But should I let the Loki voice actor take that answer, or should I take another speedster like Chigiri or Zantetsu?
Because it might not be the right answer.
It might not be the right answer. It could be someone that's subverting your gaze, or someone that's. But Vroom is usually describing someone who is fast, who is like going from this location to that location in a matter of moments. But I do want to say like Godspeed, Loki.
all right. I think Loki is more of a Pew kind of guy, so I'm gonna go Vroom being Zantetsu just because he's like 0 to 100 almost immediately. So I'll say Zantetsu.
To be fair,
So
that's a
none-
good answer.
Neither of you are correct again. So it's the Wanema Bros eye contact. The-
contact.
Because one of them
The
looks at another. They look at each other and then they go.
That Vroom is mean. Vroom
Okay.
mean.
Yeah, if it look does okay now. Yeah, that does okay. The Warrior Brothers, yeah, their weapon is their eye
The
contact.
Vroom is so
The
mean.
room throws it up.
The room is because they just look at each other, say nothing, and they're like, "Alright, we're going."
That
Room
makes
could
us
mean
think
speed, but it could also mean instantaneous,
Yeah.
meaning they're just
Yeah.
going.
Oh,
They
yeah,
look,
I-
they go.
I was thinking that, but you never say one of my brothers.
So, Kevin, pick a category.
Okay. Quotes too.
Quotes for 2. Alright, God, last time I have to do this accent. Nay, such a notion is inconceivable. My tranquility shall flourish if I procure my own victory.
Oof. I am going to.
It's got to be a horse character. because they say nay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna say Audio.
That's a
It
good
does.
one.
It does sound very formal. I get that. Okay, so are you? I guess I believe are you could be a good guess, but because Are You's been done, maybe not. Notion is inconceivable. My tranquility shall flourish if I procure my own victory. Basically, someone who's just saying, "Oh, if my skills are good, or if my skills will advance or evolve, my victory is guaranteed." But who talks with such? I know this has been through like a fancy English translation, but like this feels like someone who's actually talking a bit more formally as well. Anyway, because I'm thinking of Yukimiya again, and I always go back to Yukimiya because he's just very well spoken. But is that the translation getting me? Probably, because because I won't get him out of my head otherwise, and it's most likely wrong. I'll just guess Yukimiya to Isagi.
The correct answer. It is. It's Yukimiya, except he said this to Reo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, he said it to Reo. Oh, okay. Well,
So you don't get double
I got
points.
2 points.
But you got 2 points. Raven, pick the category.
I'll go abilities 3 and save the
Okay.
trivia for last.
Abilities 3. The fact that this actually happened has only one single explanation.
Oh, bro, what's the idea behind this? The fact that it has only happened with one single explanation, and I assume this isn't like too far in the in the manga to prevent.
This
like,
is
spoilers
relevant
from Kevin.
to only up to where he's read.
So only one explanation. I believe this could be like tapping into the flow, being able to use abnormal skills. So like Isagi tapping into the flow for the first time, being able to score his direct shot against Ren and Shido, or it could be like Shido entering the flow because of Sai, giving him that sort of drive and inspiration, and of course motivation. I'm going to guess, because I believe only one explanation can or no. Would luck? No, because I believe like Isagi with luck, one explanation, but luck an ability? I wouldn't say it is. I'm going to guess Shido's Big Bang Drive for when entering flow.
Okay, she does Big Bang Drive. Wow, this is really vague. It's hard. This only has one single explanation. I am going to just throw out a guess here and say, when Bachira was evolving during the versus Isagi match when he was on Rin's team, and he started evolving toward the end of the game. But that's something where Isagi had to do a whole monologue with only in this one scenario, in this single explanation, this would happen because
this is an ability. So this is something that a character possesses and uses in the series.
Oh, okay. So it's a specific ability. Man, that is tough. This only has one single explanation. Oof. I am just gonna have to throw something out because I am completely blank on this. So let's just say Tokimitsu's muscle. His endurance ability.
So you did say it. You did mention it, Raven.
No. Here's the thing. I don't consider luck as an ability.
It's something they possess and utilize. Isagi has utilized luck. Kaiser's utilized luck. Igaguri most definitely has utilized it.
Ability. It's not an ability. You can utilize it, but it's not in an arsenal guarantee because it just comes. People can grasp on the opportunity.
And if you have to learn, you have to be able to extort luck. You have to be able to use luck to your advantage. All right, so we'll just go into the last one now, being trivia 3. This character dodged a security guard's tackle while running away from a group of guards.
I don't even recall security guard ever existed in the show. All right, let's read from the Bible. So is this mine?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Dodge a security guard's tackle while running from a group of guards. I am going to say Shido.
You know?
Kevin, you're gonna be upset. This answer is Bachelor.
Was it? When did he ever get attacked by guards?
It is
It's Margaret Bachelor's summer vacation.
Oh, that's sick. Okay.
You've been guessing Bachelor so religiously this entire time.
Yeah, and that's the one time I didn't.
And that was the entire interview with Kevin D. Thelwell, otherwise known as the English voice actor for Julian Loki. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, as it took me over 12 hours to edit entirely. And if you could, go follow Kevin on his socials, which are linked down below, and go and show him some love and appreciation for his work. Aside from that though, for the question of the video, which voice actor would you guys like to see me interview next? Leave me your requests down below and I'm gonna try and make it happen. And like always, thank you all for watching, like and subscribe to see more awesome Blue Lock content just like this.